Have you ever pulled up to a gas pump and found yourself second-guessing which side your fuel door is on? Maybe you've parked perfectly, stepped out of the car, and then realized the fuel cap is on the opposite side. Suddenly you're either stretching the hose across the vehicle or circling around to find another pump. It's a small inconvenience, but it's something almost every driver has experienced at least once. What's curious is that there doesn't seem to be any pattern. Some cars have their fuel doors on the left, others on the right, and sometimes two nearly identical vehicles can have them in completely different places. Today we're talking about why fuel doors are on different sides of cars. What determines where the fuel filler goes? Is it about safety, engineering, or simply tradition? And why did the auto industry never settle on a single universal design? Right here on History of Simple Things. Early automobiles didn't have fuel doors as we know them today. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, fuel tanks were often mounted in unusual locations, sometimes beneath seats, behind the vehicle, or even outside the bodywork. Refueling was a much less standardized process than it is today. As cars evolved through the 1920s and 1930s, manufacturers began integrating fuel tanks into the vehicle body for protection and convenience. Fuel fillers appeared in various locations, including behind license plates, on rear fenders, and eventually behind small doors built into the side of the car. By the mid-20th century, the side-mounted fuel door became the most common design. However, by that point, different manufacturers had already established their own preferences, and no industry-wide rule was ever created. The simplest answer is that there has never been a law or industry regulation requiring fuel doors to be placed on a specific side. Automakers are free to choose whichever side works best for a particular vehicle. Since there is no requirement for uniformity, manufacturers make decisions based on engineering needs, production efficiency, and vehicle design. As a result, two vehicles built in the same year can have fuel doors on opposite sides even if they look very similar. This freedom allows engineers to optimize each model rather than forcing every car into a single design rule. One factor often discussed is roadside safety. In countries where vehicles drive on the right side of the road, some manufacturers prefer placing the fuel door on the left or driver's side. In countries where people drive on the left side of the road, the opposite approach may be used. However, many engineers actually prefer locating the fuel filler on the side opposite the driver. The reasoning is that if a vehicle runs out of fuel and must stop on the shoulder, the person refueling will stand farther away from moving traffic. This reduces the chance of being struck by passing vehicles while handling fuel. That said, safety is only one consideration, and manufacturers do not all follow the same philosophy. That's why you'll find examples supporting both approaches. Modern vehicles are surprisingly crowded underneath. Engineers must fit the fuel tank, exhaust system, suspension components, brakes, electrical wiring, emissions equipment, and structural reinforcements into a limited amount of space. Sometimes the location of these components makes one side more practical than the other for routing the filler pipe from the fuel door to the tank. The fuel filler tube may need to avoid suspension parts, crash structures, or hot exhaust components. A shorter, simpler route can reduce manufacturing costs and improve reliability. In many cases, the fuel door's location is simply the result of whatever arrangement works best within the vehicle's design. Automobile production involves thousands of decisions aimed at saving time, weight, and money. If placing the fuel filler on a particular side allows components to be assembled more easily, manufacturers may choose that option. Many car companies also share vehicle platforms across multiple models. A single platform might support several different cars, SUVs, or crossovers. Once engineers establish a fuel system layout for that platform, it is often cheaper to keep the same arrangement rather than redesign everything for each model. What seems like a small decision to drivers can actually affect production lines around the world. If you've noticed that some brands frequently place fuel doors on the same side, you're not imagining things. Certain manufacturers develop long-standing design preferences that carry over from one generation of vehicles to the next. These choices often become part of the company's engineering culture. Engineers may continue using familiar layouts because they have proven effective over many years. However, even within the same brand, exceptions exist. New vehicle architectures, electric hybrid systems, or packaging changes can lead to different fuel door locations. Because fuel doors can be on either side, manufacturers added a simple solution. Look at your fuel gauge. On most modern vehicles, you'll see a small arrow next to the fuel pump icon. The arrow points toward the side of the car where the fuel door is located. This feature became common during the 1980s and 1990s as drivers increasingly switched between different vehicles. It's a tiny detail, but it has saved countless motorists from pulling up to the wrong pump. Fuel doors are on different sides of cars because no universal standard was ever established. Over the decades, manufacturers have chosen locations based on safety considerations, engineering requirements, production efficiency, and design traditions. What looks like a random choice is actually the result of many decisions happening beneath the vehicle's body. And while drivers occasionally find themselves at the wrong pump, the little arrow on the dashboard makes the mystery much easier to solve. So the next time you're filling up your car, take a look around the gas station. You'll see fuel doors on both sides, and now you'll know exactly why. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.